in one age, called the Third Age by some,
An age yet to come.
an age long past.
A wind rose on the Geek at Arms podcast.
The wind was not the beginning,
There are neither beginnings,
nor endings to the turning of the Wheel of Time.
but it was a beginning.
Welcome to Woolheads, a Wheel of Time podcast by Geek at Arms. I'm Brian, and here's a man that I think surely must be Ta'veren. It's James.
The light illume you, Brian.
And you as well, James. Light. This was another great episode.
After the absolute show of force that they had with episode 4, The Road to the Spear, I was expecting something a little more easy. They were going to, dial it back a little bit. But no, Tel'aran'rhiod.
They've only got 8 episodes to fit all this in, so they can't waste a minute. Welcome, fair listener. We are about to spoil this and future episodes of The Wheel of Time. We talk about the differences between the show and the books, and we'll be talking about things that are almost certain to happen soon and others that may or may not happen 3 seasons from now.
Yep.
You have been warned.
So I'm fairly positive that for this show, there are going to be 2 constant themes, which are going to be written into every season. They both revolve around Moiraine. Number 1, we are giving her a bath of some type. Whether we are going to immerse her in water, in her own sweat, culturally, it's a bath.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing that will be done, we will give her a beautiful panoramic shot of her using the power in beautiful, intricate, and very scenic manners, which will make for one of the best opening shots throughout this series. Which is what we were treated to at the very beginning of this episode.
Yeah, she's out there channeling through the Sarkarnan, whatever it's called. Not doing anything useful or necessary, just experiencing the power, which, of course, is what every Aes Sedai repeatedly warns novices not to do. And I'd like to just point out that it takes some real skill to do these kinds of glowing effects against a bright sky. Because, first of all, your camera department has to take care not to let the sky blow out to white, even with all the very expensive cameras that they're using. Getting a shot with the sun in it where you can still see detail in the shadows is hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have this effect that needs to appear to be light, but you have to take care that it can't usually be brighter than the sky itself. So you have this tiny sliver of luminosity where you can operate. And it's counterintuitive that if you're doing something like fire against the sky, that the fire often has to be dimmer than the background, which you think, oh, it's fire, it's got to be brighter. But it's usually dimmer. Of course, when it's magic, you can get away with more because we haven't grown up knowing that what that's supposed to look like.
Well, for us, magic is pick a card, any card.
Right.
That's the speed that we have in this world.
Yeah, well, and that actually, we almost never see what we think we've seen. And that's what a stage magician depends on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what a compositor has to constantly fight against, because you have an idea of what the world looks like, but it's not true. And you try to put it on screen and everybody says that does not look right.
Well, it looked very right this time. There was one shot in particular which had to have been done by a drone, where the camera does a full circle around Moiraine. Mm-hmm. And was my mind telling me that was done with a drone? Did it care? Not one bit, because it was beautiful.
Yeah. When you're so focused on the just the stunning visuals, the technicals of it kind of fall to the background. Of course, I paid more attention because I'm in that industry, but still.
Yes. I looked at it as like I said, part of my mind realized what they had done, and I appreciated the use of the tool. And I thought they used the drone to good effect.
Yeah. They're definitely not afraid of using some innovative, whatever tools they need to tell their story. Mm-hmm. Like the scene when Moiraine was in the rings and you had the camera just going overhead over and over.
I love that.
They actually had this long boom arm and a slot in the floor because it had to start from below ground level.
See,
And so it comes out of the slot of the floor, goes overhead, and goes into the slot on the other side.
I would like to know how they got the shots of Moraine and Avienda within the rings. Like, I don't think that they're digital effects, just 100% created by computer. It looks like two people that are floating in the air, but have that look of that they've been immersed in water.
I would bet that they had a harness where it was the harness was putting their weight on their waist,
Mm-hmm.
and then the harness and the rope were digitally removed because they were doing this real slow turn and twist. It's like, oh yeah, they're just hanging from a rope.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, the distortions and the expressions on their face, and you see all of the magic happening
Yeah.
around them,
And
really sells it.
you add the semi sinister music in the background. It makes it feel ethereal and menacing. And
Mm-hmm.
what they're going through is doing as much harm as good. And everything coming together to make a great scene.
Yes. Uh, One other item on the production that I noticed this time that I hadn't picked up on in the previous time we saw him was Valda's arm being in a sling. That had totally gone by me. I didn't notice it the first time we saw him. I guess I was too focused on the skunk stripe in his
As
head.
it wait, his arm. Okay, that shows how much I was paying attention. I missed that his arm was in a sling. Was it?
Yeah, it matches the rest of his costume so well that it doesn't catch your eye. But yeah, his right arm is in a sling.
Okay, I'm completely forgetting how he injured it in the last season.
I'm guessing it would have been actually from season one, the wolf attack.
Which it's not really giving away spoilers. It's more of a future casting, if anything. But boy, am I looking forward to the day he dies.
Ah, does he die in the book?
I think
Yes.
yes, he does,
Yeah, he
and in a
does.
wonderfully satisfying way. But
Yes.
that's all the spoiler I'm going to give, friends.
Yeah, I think we can leave that one in the dark.
Yeah.
Uh,
Speaking of dark, though, we it's during the nighttime, but we get our first real look at the Sea Folk,
yeah.
and I found myself really enjoying their screen translation and or interpretation. I liked the ship. I liked the costuming, the look of them. The once again, the weaving is just the 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 special effect animation of the weaving is just looking just every single episode better and better. And the way they're like
hmm
weaving the wind to power the sails. I mean, it almost has an aurora borealis effect reaching up into the sky.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, it looked more art than magic, and
hmm
it was very pleasing.
Yeah, and it matched the way it was described in the books, where the weaves were just enormous.
Yes, yes.
I wish that there had been, if I wish that Elayne had actually commented on that. And
Mhm.
actually,
Because
I kind of wish there had been a little bit more conversation there, but they had so much to get through.
in the book, didn't she ask, "Could you teach this to me?" Because she wanted to learn how
hmm
to weave, like a hurricane's, you know, channel worth of wind.
Yeah, she did, and that was the justification that she used to being sent after the Bowl of the Winds later, because not only did she know how to work weather, but she also had the relationship with the sea folk.
Hmm. Who knows if we'll even see the Bowl of the Winds or how much we'll see of it in this series? There's
Yeah,
just
I think
so
they're going to
much.
skip that because it's like they haven't been making a deal out of the way the Dark One touches the world. So I don't think they're going to do the stuff with the weather being changed. Maybe they will, but it's an easy thing to cut. And like we said, we have not very much time to tell this story. So Copland talk.
Here we go.
We are again seeing Swan in a position of weakness, and once again, I don't care much for it.
Neither do I. It seems like for someone who is held in such reverence and awe, that she's kind of holding on to power by a shoestring.
Yeah, and even her insults to Elaida, it's like Elaida's coming in here and just really ripping her, and the best she can come up with is "you're smelly,"
Yeah.
and her apparent panic doesn't help at all.
Nope.
Asking Varen to prove she's a dark friend.
Yeah. Now, I did respect that. I did kind of respect how Siuan handled. I mean, in walks Elaida, and just not even subtly, just blatantly trashing her history, her people, her background. I mean,
Hmm.
she even gets petty, trashing her room decor,
Yeah.
and Siuan just takes it in stride. It's like,
Hmm.
okay. I mean, she just said, "Well, you're certainly welcome to feel that way, daughter."
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's better. I like that. Let's see more of that.
It's still, I felt she was not living up to the legend of Swan Sanche, in my opinion.
She's not. She's not. And I mean, that's honestly, that's not a dig against the actress. That's a dig against the writers.
Hmm.
Um, I want to talk about the IEL waste for a second.
Hmm.
Um, I get that it's the IEL waste, and we're given to some pretty decent description of what it's like. I feel like that they're making the waste just a little too barren. I mean, we get the look at the hold of the home of the Tardad Ale. I'm like, wow, cool, sand and rocks. Okay, this is where they live. I have questions. So, where's their stuff like food, metal, wood, cloth? Um, there's everyone's standing around. They're not naked. They're pretty well fed. They have weapons. Look, there's
Well,
bunches of torches. Look, they even have clay pots. Um, we need some explanation here. That might be
we
coming later. That might be coming later. But for right now, I'm like, you're making the waste seem a little too wasteful. Even in deserts across our world, there's oases and areas where there is life. So yeah, I'm sure they may show more ideal society. I hope we get more. We got a little bit this one, um, which actually there were some things I really liked about what they did with ideal society this one, and I'll get to that one in a few. Do you have anything else about the ideal and in the waste?
not in my Copland talk, I don't
Okay,
think.
I want to.
Well, I did have one thing. I'm a little peeved about Melaine saying she can't channel.
I knew there was one of the ideal Dreamwalkers who could not channel, but she was
It was
respected
Bear.
just as much. But didn't they combine that character, or are we now
Yeah,
we're
they
just
they
switching
mixed her with
abilities?
Amy's, and I always thought that it was a big part of Melaine's character that she resented her pretty face because she didn't get the she looked too young for her authority because
Yes.
her aging had slowed.
Hmm.
But I don't remember for sure. I might be conflating that with Nynaeve because I know she had the same problem.
Yeah.
But it's a relatively minor quibble. I don't think it really changes the character that much.
Gotcha. So I'd like to kind of, head west back to the two rivers.
Hmm.
Um, that whole scene between Alana and Maxon, a warder threatening to leave his Aes Sedai. Uh,
Well, as we have noted repeatedly, Maxim is terrible at being a warder.
yeah, but still, that to me shows a gross misunderstanding of the bond between them,
Hmm.
between an Aes Sedai and her warder. And yeah, that like no, he may not have been happy. He may have complained. Maxon's good at complaining. All right, they took away his color changing cloak, but gave him sarcasm and an attitude. Um, but he's still going to stick around. That's just what warders do.
Yeah, that bugged me a bit too.
So what also really bugged me was when the fight actually began in an effort to save Matt's sisters. Back to Eamon Valda. They're like they're looking at this mist. This is a natural. He looks to the man beside him. I'm going to show you how to hunt a witch. No, you don't, because we see Alana channeling, and then we see white boots walking towards her. You don't show him or anyone. You just kind of happen upon her, and
Yeah.
like you if you have a way to track an Aes Sedai to figure out where they are, you need to share that because that's kind of a very powerful advantage. And frankly, let's be honest, the only one you might have against
Hmm.
an Aes Sedai. Because, and this is another major gripe of mine, a bunch of Whitecloaks, even with crossbows, are still not a match for an Aes Sedai.
No, and
Much
she's
less a Green Aja.
yeah, she's Green Aja. She absolutely would have had this whirlwind of wind
Yeah.
deflecting crossbow bolts because she knows there's white cloaks in the area and she knows they like to shoot from the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way she
No,
would have been unprepared for that.
no, a Green Aja is a tank. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, the Green Aja are like the mobile artillery. They are deadly. They are killers, and they're trained to be. So you're gonna tell me that a bunch of white cloaks are just gonna come up and like crossbow snipe one of them? No, no, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Um, the second, one of them may have gotten a shot off, but this whole thing about like, oh, I'm going to create a barrier, but it's only for
Only
one
one direction.
direction. Yes. I'm like, oh, they don't teach 3-dimensional shapes in weaving class. Gotcha. All right. Um,
Well, she fell to the same error as Khan. Doesn't think three dimensionally.
so going from White Cloaks not being a match for someone in any way, shape, or form, we get to Fail. And as Perrin is fighting with uh, tragic white cloak whose name I can't remember.
Dane Bornhold.
Thank you very much. Him and Perrin are going at it. Two more white cloaks walk up, and there's Fail. She pulls a pair of knives out. Now, I remember from the books, Fail is very good with her knives. But in this episode, they've given her a pair of karambit-style blades. She's even holding him in the down reverse grip that you see with people who have trained with them.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem. Those are fantastic for close quarter fighting.
Not so good about against someone with a sword.
She's facing two skilled swordsmen with sabers who know how to use them.
Mm-hmm.
This should not have been a fight. This should have been an execution. There's even a point where she does I'm going to do the cool roll thing and throw them off balance and knock one down. As she rolled forward, she knocked one down, but she was literally at the other guy's feet. All he had to do was straighten his arm.
Mm-hmm.
His arm was bent, saber in hand, and sabers are good at that. They're good at cutting and slicing. If he had straightened his arm, she would have been scalped. So, we get a scene a few moments later, where she stands up, pulls another knife out, and throws it into a guy's chest. I'm like, hey, that was cool. That's more in keeping with what I envisioned for her character. But,
Still a move that almost never works, though.
no, it does not. Because as we learned from another fantasy series, the Dresden Files, throwing knives looks cool on TV and Renaissance fairs, but in reality, you just don't have the strength for it.
Mm-hmm.
So make her good with knives. Make it believable. Okay, Some people may have thought it was cool. They may have seen the karambit knives, like, oh, cool, those knives are awesome. But I'm not buying that she kills two grown, skilled swordsmen with them. That's outside of my believability. But last thing I'm going to say for my Coplin talk at least is Matt's mom.
Mm. Yeah.
This was not necessary.
I'm of two minds. When it happened, I was so upset, and as I got to thinking about it, it's like Natty doesn't have a large impact on the story going forward. This is a way of really, really getting the Two Rivers folk invested. And I am just imagining later on the scene that we're going to get when Matt finds out and how powerful that's going to be.
Hmm. I I see where you're going with that. I do.
Mm.
My worry is that this was a fridging the girlfriend type of trope. We need to
It's
do
Gates.
something polarizing. Let's kill a female character,
Yeah, it's Gates close to that, but at least she died doing something important.
protecting her daughters.
Hmm.
Which I will admit, I was confused when I saw her at that moment because I could have sworn that it was one of the sisters that Dane pulled out of the cage. But I was mistaken, apparently.
Mm.
I hope what you say is true. I like that much
Yeah.
better than my original assumption.
Mm.
Um,
And it even lends some weight to the last scene, and we'll talk about that when we get to the theory
yes.
crafting.
Um,
I didn't only have one last Copland talk item before we move on to more positive topics.
mhm.
Why, oh why, did they change horn sounder to horn blower?
it,
I hate it. Every time I hear it, it just reminds me of Horatio Hornblower, and it pulls me right out of the narrative.
Is it Horn Sounder in the books?
Yes,
I
he's the
completely
horn
forgot.
sounder.
It hasn't bothered me as much because I thought he was referred to as Hornblower in the books. Um,
No, it's just
but
it's a
but hey, thanks
peeve.
for mentioning Horatio Hornblower because now that's going to happen to both of us. Appreciate it. Thanks, friend.
You're welcome.
Well, before I dwell
Hopefully, they
on
don't
that,
say it too many more
yeah, before
times.
we dwell on that too much, let's get to some positive changes in the pattern. Um, I talked about how we do get some excellent representations of IEO culture and society.
Mhm.
Um, I liked when Ruark walked up, asked leave to enter into the roof mistress's abode, and there was that little interplay between him and his wife, one
Mhm.
of his wives. It's the Aiel, and you see off to the side, little redhead girl. She is jumping up and down. She cannot contain herself. And finally, when they're done with their tradition, she runs up, grabs her granddad, and I
Mhm.
thought that was adorable. Um,
Yes.
very real. I also very much enjoyed Rand's interaction with her.
Yes.
That
Exactly.
was a kind and funny and humanizing moment, and it was really great to see, to appreciate him getting that moment, considering what is to come.
Yeah, it's going to start getting so dark for him in the near future, and so
Hmm.
this opportunity for him to just play and show his humanity, I think it's important for the story, but it's also important for us as the audience just to get a little bit of
Hmm.
uh, lightness in the
And
show.
and I also saw as one because she's an adorable little girl, so you can't help but
Mhm.
do that. But I think he also does it because he he he's, he feels kinship with these people,
Yeah.
and he wants to begin making connections.
And let's
And
face it, he's not much more than a kid himself.
yeah, he's not. He really isn't. Um, I mean, how old was he when they left the Two Rivers in the books?
In the books, I
It was like
think they were
16.
like 16 or 17.
Yeah. So at this
Um,
point,
in the show, they moved him up to I think 20.
that's fair. Um, considering everything that went on with Celine. Um,
Right.
thank God for that. But I mean, at this point, even in the books, when he's gone to visit the Io Waste, he's not even 20 yet.
Hmm.
So, uh,
And I can vouch for 20 not still being pretty much a kid.
agreed, agreed. I mean, I'm 46, and sometimes thankfully I still feel like a kid sometimes. Um, but then again, I still have Star Wars stuff on a shelf. So, I mean, there you go. Um, like I said, we get our first great look at the Sea Folk. Um, I did imagine that a Sea Folk ship would have more crew, considering they live on their ships. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, no, no, this I'm actually okay with there not being that many crew. This could be like their version of a cutter,
Hmm.
something that's not meant for, for carrying a lot of freight, but something that's got a small amount of room, a few rooms, but is meant for speed more than anything else.
Yeah.
Small crew and for speed. And considering the size of the boat that we see, that made more sense to me.
As I recall, this vessel was what the sea folk called a raker, and it's among the fastest in their fleet.
See, that makes sense then. Um, but yeah, really enjoyed the Sea Folk.
Hmm. Um, I did want to say one more thing before we get too far away from the Aiel.
Oh, sure.
I was amused by the technique the wise ones used to wake Egwene. Apparently, they're fans of Inception.
Yes. Yes.
Like just a little small thing. But anyway, Siuan's attempt to prove Elaida is Black Aja. She's gotten Varen a lot more involved in it this time around. Varen's original role in the books was just to pass some information on to uh, Nynaeve, Elayne, and Egwene. But there's a certain amount of irony knowing what we know about Varen later on. And she knows, I mean, she's been collecting these notes on them for decades. So she probably already knows who the actual head of the Black Aja is.
Mm-hmm.
And that person actually appears in this episode. So I thought that was just a little fun because the fans of the books know who is and who isn't Black Aja. And so seeing these names and faces pop up, it's like, oh, okay, I know where this is headed. It's been fun.
Uh, Earlier, I talked about how much the interaction between Maxim and Alana bothered me,
Mm-hmm.
and how Alana's inability to effectively deal with the Whitecloaks also really bothered me. And then I realized it was done for the plot because Maxim comes in for the rescue.
He's
And
not a great warder, but dang, can he fight?
he comes in and just handles them, completely handles them. And we see him fight like how I have always envisioned a warder fighting.
Mm-hmm. It's
Just
like what, 8 guys in a matter of 5 or 6 seconds?
yeah, I mean, it just takes them apart, literally. Kills one, throws his sword like a hero from the Age of Legends, and then just I don't have a sword anymore. I'll take yours. Stab you, stab you. You fell to the ground. I'm going to stab you again. Oh, you've stabbed me. Oh,
That's
stupid
cute.
man. And he even takes a crossbow bolt to the shoulder and is like, oh, look at that. And then it just, even though he walked away in frustration and anger, just picks her up. It's like, come on, let's get you out of here.
Yeah, and he clearly didn't get very far away. He
Nope.
said he was leaving, but he got there awfully fast.
Especially
So,
because he said, you turned the bond back on 5 arrows ago.
yeah.
I had one last thing I wanted to mention, and that was Egwene's Dreamwalk. After she's delivered Moraine to Siuan,
Mm-hmm.
she decides to go visit her friends. And we get a series of moments which are just lovely.
So sweet and so
Yes.
heartbreaking.
I mean, she sees Matt, you know, showing off to his sisters and his mom how well he's done. Perrin. Take a look at this picture. Take a look at what Perrin made. This is proper Two Rivers work. Um, we see Perrin finally smithing, and it's in a dream.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks up and he sees Fael of all people, which I liked. I really
And
liked
there's
that.
Hopper.
Yeah, Hopper was there. Hopper, come on. That made my heart skip for a moment. And then we get to Rand.
Then the rug pull.
That final shot. Talk about really good camera work, a good setup. We see the back of Rand's head. You see the mountains in front of him, and that hand snake up behind his
Well,
neck.
the little bit of out of place where Egwene sees Lanfear's boot out from behind Rand. She tilts her head. What is that?
Yeah.
It was. Ugh.
Yeah. And the horror on her face is Lanfear just smiles and stares at her. Oh, wow.
Satisfaction on her face. It was like,
I mean, I was creeped out. I was horrified, but I was also
mm,
giving a slow clap. Like, well done.
yeah, she is definitely killing it in that role.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, shall we head to future casting and try to figure out where they're going to go from here?
Yeah, I had a couple of predictions as I watched this episode that immediately come true in the next, so I won't bother with those.
I've got one.
Mm-hmm.
Considering where they are right now, uh, Ruidian, and what has to happen with Moraine, but also Lanfear.
Mm-hmm.
Moraine has touched on it that as long as I'm alive or around, Rand dies. Things are going to come to a head with those two, meaning Moraine and Lanfear.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we're going to see them taken out of the picture, as it were, still similar to how it happens in the book.
Yeah, I'm curious about exactly how they're going to do that without the redstone
Yeah.
doorway being at Ruidian.
Well, it still might be. We haven't really
That's
explored
true.
the city at all. Um, they're still there for the moment, and a lot of pieces still have to come together. Like
Mm.
Matt still needs to arrive. Um, and well, if that's where if that's how they show him what happens next with the next arc of his character.
Yeah, I suspect his encounter with the redstone doorway is going to happen in Tanchico.
Gotcha.
I think that I don't think that they're going to put off fulfillment of Min's prophecy for another season. It's going to happen at the end of this one. That's my opinion.
I think you're right on that. I think it's going to be a cliffhanger, but I don't think it's going to happen as long as it does in the book. It can't
Yeah.
because of how much money they've got invested in Rosamund Pike.
Mm-hmm.
But for story's sake, she has to be taken off the board for a
Maybe
certain
they'll
amount of
use
time.
the rings.
Maybe, very possible. We'll see. I think it's going to happen close because we see several scenes when they are in the rings of, well, you see them in bed, but then we get mostly just scene after scene of Lanfear killing Moraine over and over and over and over and
Yeah,
over
and it's
again.
happening in that desert.
Yes. So uh, it's going to be those two. And I think that it's going to be a part of what happens in the season finale. So
Yep.
we'll wait and see.
Yeah, that is definitely a season finale kind of event.
Yeah.
My only remaining prediction is about Eleida's coup. I think they're going to queue pretty close to the books. She's already declared that the battle is going to be political.
Mm-hmm.
She's already recruited Alviarin, who's going to turn out to be her keeper. The only big change so far is that both Min and Loghain are elsewhere.
I've completely forgotten where Logain is.
He at last seen he was in Cairhien.
That's right.
I wonder what they're going to do with him because he's not there. I guess maybe Siuan and Elayne will find an opportunity to nab him on the way to Saladar. And since I doubt they're going to replace the actors, I'm going to guess that the stilling won't change their faces as much as it did in the books. So they're going to have to do some work to keep Siuan from being recognized, specifically by Gareth Bryn.
Yeah.
I do think that Gareth is going to appear because he's been name dropped.
Mm-hmm.
It just remains to be seen in what role he comes in, and maybe they'll just say that he never met her. That would be the easiest way, I guess.
Lord Gabriel. Which Forsaken is he again? He's not Ravin, is he?
Yeah.
He is Ravin.
Ravin.
Okay, thank you. I'm getting him and Samael mixed up.
Yeah, Samael was in Ilion.
Gotcha.
The one that we had like 3 books leading up to Rand finally attacking him. It's like, would you just get on with it already?
Fair.
Well, does that wrap it up for you?
That wraps it up for me.
All right. Well, in honor of the sea folk that we got this episode, the light illumine you and send the winds to speed you.